they're weak mentally.
Yeah.
Then get put into situations where it's live or die and have to dig deep. And then all of a sudden, 3-5 years later after that, they find out that they're actually one of the toughest people on the planet. They never would have learned that about themselves. And there are those that, of course, fail and implode or whatnot. But I look at that and go, they cultivated it.
Totally.
It wasn't something they were born with. You look at their life up to that point.
Yeah.
There was nothing spectacular there.
But they decided to rise to the occasion, and it was built.
It was built little by little.
Yeah. They had him do a marathon row.
On day one.
If you guys have 42,000 meters. It took him 3 hours or something like that.
Do you miss that, Chris?
No. No, I don't. Not a marathon row. I'm
going to get hurt.
Sure.
I'm going to get hurt doing CrossFit.
Yeah, which I think is like miseducation in and of itself. You can get hurt doing anything. And if you go to a good gym and you have a good trainer, that's great. You'll be fine. And that's what we tried to do with Grunt Work, just without the need of a trainer. Keep the movements really simple, show them an image of it so that they can replicate it, and just go to work.
Hey! It's about to get crazy. It's about to go down. It's about to get crazy. It's gonna be loud. This is our house. We do what we wanna. We'll blow the roof up. Everybody's coming. It's about to get crazy. It's about to go down. It's about to go down.
You are listening to the Gritty Podcast, where we talk about all things gritty. Life is not easy. Life isn't fair. It never was, and it never will be. A good life takes grit, because the best things in life come from hard work, sacrifice, resolve, determination, and perseverance. Because grit means never quitting. It means coming back time and time again until you succeed. So on this show, we talk hunting, we talk outdoors, we talk conservation, we talk family and life. We talk fitness, and we talk strength of body, strength of mind, and strength of character. Prioritize who you are and who you want to be. Get gritty, because life isn't fair, and a little grit can make all the difference. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us today, friends, on the Gritty Podcast. Yeah, we are here at the Gritty Studio, and I've got as a guest today my friend Chris Spealler.
Yeah.
Glad you're here, my friend.
Thanks. This is the first time in like the half actual studio. You guys can't tell, but as far as you could tell, this everywhere.
Yes. The studio's coming together.
It is.
The table, I love the walls, especially when I'm focused here.
Yeah.
I'm really jacked about finishing that. And then the table, but I like sitting at a table. For podcasting. I like to have a little paper shuffling, a little notebook, maybe my computer
news
open.
Anchor style.
Yeah, I like to as I'm going through a conversation.
Yeah.
I like to keep a little note, write something, because I don't want to interrupt somebody.
Sure.
If I don't have to. But I'll lose my thought if I'm really tuned into them and they're explaining something to me and I had a quick thought.
I gotcha.
Nice to just write it down, then
do
just
a little
focus.
Google search if you need to.
Yeah, totally.
Make sure that what you're saying isn't like bro science, but actual science.
Exactly.
Gritty science.
Yeah, and there can be a lot of that. Or I'll do a quote and I'll butcher it when I could just Google it real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
I love Google. So we actually did a workout today, and for those of you that are listening, that don't know Chris, you've been a guest a couple of times.
Yeah.
We did Total Archery Challenge again this year.
Yeah.
Round 2.
Much improved, I must say.
What do you think of archery? So Chris is new to archery. He's a world recognized CrossFit athlete. I would say, a legend in your own right in the CrossFit space.
Sure.
Starting early, you were one of the first athletes in that space, and then just what you accomplished as a less than large human being.
It's okay. Relatively
it's
small.
Like Mighty Mouse.
Yeah. I was funny. We were looking at the CrossFit Games just happened last week, and those guys are monsters. Their average size is basically like 5'9" and 195.
Yeah.
And that's average.
I know.
They're human wrecking machines running around out there.
Well, I was watching some of that, and I'm blown away by the power and the strength of these guys that are actually smaller than me.
And they had him do a marathon row
on day one.
If you guys, that's like 42,000 meters. It took him 3.5 hours or 3 hours or something like that. Imagine sitting on a rower that long.
Do you miss that, Chris?
No. No, I don't. Not a marathon row. I mean, like
that sucked.
Oh, just in the same spot.
It wasn't even fun to watch.
Like, oh man, that sounds brutal.
But it's
a test of fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. You could tell that Castro doesn't exactly care whether it's entertaining or not.
No, is the test. I think he does with certain things like the layouts and stuff, but I think at some point he's like, it just has to be a part of the test, and so we're going to test it.
So, there's a little background on Chris Spealler for you folks. Go check it out if you don't know already. But today you came down here, and we went downstairs to the gym here.
Yeah,
and
first time to the building.
Yeah,
never been to the gym or the building. It's really cool.
And we hammered a workout that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it was different than than a standard kind of, let's say, CrossFit workout.
Yeah,
definitely different than like a Globo gym kind of experience. Yeah. But I'm really excited about it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we just really, as I've transitioned from the more competitive realm of CrossFit and fitness and things like that, and kind of with my own passions, I really want to encourage people to get out and use their fitness and have some sense of adventure like we talked about, and to be like well equipped for it, right? Not to go into those things. I think we take for granted. I think we've talked about this in the past a little bit, but I take for granted the fact that I don't worry about being prepared for something. If my buddy, if you invite me to go on a hunt, I'll be like, cool, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
If someone is, hey, I need help moving my refrigerator, cool, I'll see you in a little bit. Hey, will you run a half marathon with me? Cool, I'll see you tomorrow. I take that for granted, but I think a lot of people aren't in that position. They look at things as, oh, I have to get ready for that. I have to prepare for that.
Right. And
that could be hunting, or it could be helping out your neighbor, or it could be whatever. Fill in the blank.
I absolutely take it for granted. There's when Chris says, "Yep, I'm going to come down and we're going to do this workout together." I don't have trepidation. I don't go, "Oh no, can I handle this? Is this going to leave me writhing on the floor or whatnot?" I feel like I'm prepared kind of for any workout that might come any day of the week, whenever time. And that means I feel prepared for life too. I'm going to go on this Yukon moose hunt, know, and it's like, there are guys that would, or let's say it's a sheep hunt where they need to spend 6 months or more just kind of preparing. Yeah. Man, I could go tomorrow on any of these hunts. New Zealand was no small feat. Was
gnarly terrain.
Dude, I mean, their Southern Alps are incredible.
Yeah.
And so navigating those is a physical feat.
Yeah.
And it was really nothing, like, because of my lifestyle, because I've chosen a way of living that allows for always being prepared. But what I have noticed is a lot of people just feel like that's not doable.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay for Brian, but I can't.
But I can't be like that.
I can't be like that because I have kids and I got this other job and I got to do this and I got to do that.
Not enough time. Yeah, totally. And it doesn't mean that those things aren't hard, right? It doesn't mean that like what the experiences we have for that life outside the gym or adventure isn't hard. It's still like a challenge,
right?
But we can do it. We're prepared for it.
Right. I was just telling you before we turned the cameras on, dude, I don't understand this. Like, we met with BHA yesterday, Lantani and Ty Stubblefield, and we did a hike to hunt with backcountry hunters and anglers right here on the Wasatch behind the office. We went up this, and it was steep, and it was 1,000 feet elevation gain in 1 mile.
That's steep, yeah.
And it was a hike, and it was hot because
August.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, like 5 minutes into the hike, I'm thinking, I am fit and this sucks. Like, why isn't this feeling good?
Yeah.
And then 10 minutes in, I'm like, man, I'm digging deep.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't feel like I should have to dig deep because Chris, I work out and I eat well and I sleep.
I take care of myself.
Like, what the chuck? And, but then 20 minutes in, it feels different. 30 minutes in, I feel like I can do it all day long.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
I think part of it, we were kind of kidding around. I think part of it's that your body's not just saying like, oh, I'm doing something other than laying on the couch. You know, like I think inherently people, all of us, right, generally will find the path of least resistance, which is typically a sedentary lifestyle of some sort, right? Mm-hmm. But like all those things aside, honestly, I think a lot of it is just your body starting to adapt to using different energy systems and starting to realize, okay, this duration is longer. And it's just like anything. I think once people get warmed up for something, they feel better. Mm-hmm. It could be lifting in the gym. It could be whatever, you know, the run. But usually I feel like it's like your car getting warmed up, like on a cold morning, yes. You know, when like whatever that, I'm not a mechanic, but like whenever I've got like a relatively new truck, but when it's really cold out, it still like squeals.
Still a dog.
Like, it's like hurting, you know? It's like, oh my gosh. So your body's kind of similar. Like you got to wake it up. And chances are you guys didn't like warm up for it. You just started hiking up the hill. Yeah. So it's energy systems and changing and warming up.
I knew like when I was in Colorado, in Evergreen, there's a road right behind the house and, it was 3 miles, and I would run up. It was 600 feet elevation for over a mile and a half. Yeah. So I'd run up the hill and then I'd run down the hill. And it was great because I think I needed both that up and down stimulus. Like it works different muscles. It's a different kind of.
Yeah. Breathing hard for a little bit, a little easier. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, but I, for some reason, when I first started, it took about 12 minutes. I could watch I could pay attention to the watch. And it was like.
It's going to be bad for another
12
4 minutes.
minutes sucked. And then after 12 minutes, I was like, boom, I'd hit this threshold where I was like, this feels starting to feel good. My breathing isn't uncontrolled or a little ragged or it's just, boom, I'm getting smooth. Yeah. And then, after doing that for like 4 months, then it was like 4 minutes, you know, 5 minutes in. And I was, you know, kind of suck a little at the start. And then I would like kick into that smooth process. And so, I agree. I think it's something your body it just takes some time to get used to what's going on. But
and being a total nerd, like you start burning different things like sugar versus fat. So there's got to be something going on there. I'm not that smart, but there's got to be something going on there where you're figuring that out.
Well, and the reason I bring it up is because you mentioned mental toughness.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm super interested in all the time because, you know, this is the Gritty podcast. We talk about grit. We talk about being gritty. And it's a subject that I never tire of kind of diving into and kind of figuring it out and unlocking it with other people. But one of the things that I do when I'm doing that, I know it's going to be uncomfortable for a while.
Yeah.
And I just accept it.
Totally.
And then I just go through it knowing that, you know, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in, like
be okay.
I'll start to, it'll kind of go away. The body will kind of adjust. And I don't know, it helps me to know that it's going to suck, but it'll be over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's one little hack I kind of use to push myself when I don't feel like doing stuff.
For sure. I think staying in the moment, right? That's huge. That's huge. And I've talked to, and that's something that I've tried to do when I was competing a lot, or even now, like when I'm just like working out or doing something tough, where I really like downhill mountain biking. And sometimes you'll have like these speed wobbles or these near wrecks and they like your stomach drops, you know, but you just have to be in the moment and kind of forget that it just happened and just move on, accept that it happened. But that's what just happened has no bearing on now. And I think that's hard. I think a lot of people don't live in the now. I think they think about how hard something was in the past, or they think about how much further they have to go, or how much harder it's going to get, instead of just staying super present. Because that's really, that's reality. I forget if I was talking to you about this or someone else, but like that, this was really impactful for me. going through some of the mental toughness things when I was competing, and I saw this video and a guy was talking about it, and it made so much sense all of a sudden. Basically, anything that's happened already is just a thought. It's not reality anymore. It happened, right? It was a reality, but it's just a thought now. Anything that we're worried about in the next day, weeks, 5 minutes from now, a minute from now, 30 seconds from now, that's just a thought. That hasn't even happened yet. So really, what happened in the past and what's about to happen has no bearing on what can happen now. And all we really have is right now. And then that is gone. And now we have now. And if you can stay really in the moment, I think that helps a lot instead of thinking about how much harder it's going to be in 5 minutes.
Well, we talk about that a lot, or I brought it up a lot in discussion here when it comes to shooting in that moment of truth.
Yeah.
You know, you've hunted 7 days in the mountains, and you've now got, you finally did what feels like the impossible, and now you're 30 yards from the biggest bull elk of your life, right? And it's sitting there screaming. In that moment, what I think is critical is to stay in the now.
Yeah.
Right? The times where I've missed or I've blown a shot like that, you know, you come to full draw and here's the moment, right? You've spent all year even training for these moments, right? And here you are. It's like, if you take yourself out of the now, you're going to miss.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so critical to, and so I focus on process a lot in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you do. You hook the release on, you get your grip, you know, you pull through, and a lot of that stuff's automatic, right? But I get there and I purposely use words to talk, you know, I'll get to full draw.
Yeah.
I'll be like, you know, pick a spot. You'd be surprised how easy it is to put your pin just on the animal, or just not even put it on the animal.
Right.
Just put it in the general direction and then just pull the trigger. Right.
Yeah.
And so telling myself, pick that spot helps me like actually pick that spot where I want the arrow to go.
Yep.
And then, you know, I'm like, you know, squeeze, like on my release. It just helps me like kind of start to pull through or execute that final shot. And the whole time I'm also undergirding that whole thing with, you're dead. You know, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like trying to stay the aggressor in this situation,
Yeah.
the predator instead of being the victim. It's so easy to be like, oh my gosh, what if this doesn't work? And come on, I hope this goes right. Come on, make the shot.
Yeah.
And
you're
then
a hot mess now.
Yeah. And then you're not in the process. Instead, you're externally looking at yourself and you're going, wait.
All the doubts creep in. Yeah. We used to talk about anchor points, and this is really helpful. So anchor points are moments that you've had, and they could be related to, like in that scenario, they could be related to, you know, being successful with a successful shot, or they could be related to something completely else, you know, something outside of hunting or archery. It could be anything else, but anchor points are any time where you have found success, right? And like those moments in your life where, they're crazy, defining, and successful. And if you find yourself kind of wandering off course and going down that road of negativity and self-talk and doubt, and what do I do? To root yourself in an anchor point of a moment of success and take yourself back there. Like, remind yourself of that moment, and maybe take a moment to just close your eyes and imagine that moment and what that felt like and the process behind that. And that's a really good way to kind of reset that train of thought. So now it's not the self-doubt. It's not the, oh my gosh, it's no, I have in this point, you know, I have trained for this. I have prepared for this. And you go back to all those shots that you made in the backyard or at the range or whatever, and where you were sticking it. It's like, and you just think that, and then you just apply that to that moment. And that can happen really quickly.
I like that a lot, actually. I have done that in the past where I've gotten in my own head. Here we are, we're about to shoot, and been like, told myself, dude, you just did this last week. You just made the perfect shot in this moment last week. You're fine.
And visualize it.
And visualize
go back
it.
to that.
And then,
it works.
It does.
It really does. And I think that's like a powerful thing that a lot of people don't do.
I don't think I've consciously used that as a tactic. I think I just did it instinctively. Now you mention it, it's like, Yeah, that I can see. I mean, I've done it. That'd be powerful.
And it's a good, like, if you feel yourself tripping or you feel those triggers of negative self-talk. And that's the other thing is I think a lot of times people, they find themselves in those positions where they feel those negative thoughts coming on and they feel so self-defeated because I think they're saying, oh crap, like I'm being negative. Like,
yeah,
he's not negative. He's not negative. No, we all have that tendency to have negative self-talk. That's normal. So understanding that those negative thoughts creeping in is a completely normal response depending on the situation and scenario. It's what do we do with it? And I think when you accept that too, and it's not this same thing victim role where like, oh no, I'm the only one that has negative thoughts and I can't get my crap together and I'm not mentally tough, but he is. No, everybody in those moments is a head case or has the potential to be.
Yeah.
Right? But it's how do they handle the moment where they feel the negative self-talk come in? What do they replace it with? An anchor point or positive self-talk? Or some people will call it like a mantra, you know? And that's a lot like what you were talking about, the process.
Yeah. I heard, I think it was another podcast. I think it was like Froning.
That Froning guy.
Yeah. Some dude.
Froning and Friends or something.
Yes. And I think what they were saying around this topic, right?
Yeah.
Is something about identifying who you are. Underlying everything. It's like, in their case, it was faith-based.
Sure.
In many ways. Like,
at like the bedrock, who are you?
Yeah. That I know that I am enough as like God's like
son or whatever that might be. Yeah.
And so, and based on that core belief and faith and so forth, then everything builds off of that. And so, those doubts and those other things that come in, it's like they go back to this anchor point, like you're talking about, which is, no, I'm valuable. I matter and these things matter. And using that as a foundation, to always center yourself, you know?
Yeah. Huge, right? Because I think what happens is when people get into those situations, why are we worried about missing the shot? Like, is it really because you didn't make the kill and don't have the meat for the family? Probably not.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you could
yeah.
go to the grocery store tomorrow and still provide for your family. So like, really, why are you bent? And chances are it's not that, it's probably failure. Right? It's like, I am scared right now of failing because I've worked for this and now I'm in a position to make it happen or not. And if I fail, then that's where I'm not worth, I don't have self-worth, or I fail at everything, or other people are going to say that I'm not a good shot, or I'm not a good hunter, or this weekend was a waste.
And I think underlying all of that, if you hunt, it's I've wounded or mortally wounded an animal. Like I've caused undue suffering to another creature that I value.
Yep.
Because I couldn't perform.
Yeah.
And then there's a huge amount of guilt that comes with that, because now maybe you made an animal suffer for 2 days with a gut shot.
Yep.
And then die a horrible death with coyotes taking it apart, right? It's like that all plays through your mind. Instead of giving that animal a swift and efficient death and then honoring it and taking it home and eating it, you actually went down the opposite road and gave it something terrible. And so underlying all of that, there's that pressure too.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a heavy thing.
But that's the risk you take, right? It's just like when I used to compete at higher levels, you have to be able to tell yourself, I'm going to compete to win. I'm going to hunt to be successful. There's no other option. There's no, I'm going to try my best today. There's no, I hope this goes really well. Like, no, you need to go into those situations prepared. You need to have the training behind you, whatever that might be, to be prepared. And then you need to show up to execute. And there's a fine line, though, because guess what? We're all human. We all make mistakes. And there is a risk of failure. right? So when I competed, I trained for years to win the CrossFit Games, and I never did. But am I a failure? You know what I mean? I think that's where people go, is they don't want to allow themselves to believe that they can win or have the perfect shot because they're scared that they're going to fail, and then what? But you just have to accept that. You have to walk that line of being like, I know that things might not pan out the way that I want them to. I'm not going to go into those situations or scenarios believing that. I'm going to believe that I'm going to execute, do my absolute best. But if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be okay. And the reason why we're okay is because of those bedrock things, right? That's why we're okay. And if we don't have that bedrock, people are not okay. And that's where I think you see anybody under those scenarios get crushed. You can see it happen. They crumble, right? Because they don't have anything else.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. You watch like
Super
the
sad.
CrossFit regionals, and you see the athletes, because you know they're all talented, right?
Yeah.
That's why they're there. They get into the regionals, and you watch them, like, just some of them they have all the talent, and on paper they should win,
Right. But they didn't.
and they implode.
Yep. And is it here? I think I know athletes that they just can't do it mentally. Physically, they have all the gifts. Mentally, they're a hot mess. And I know other people that are opposite. You know, mentally, they are like sharp, and they are on it, and they are improving every day, and they're willing to take the risk, and they're willing to, keep their nose to the grindstone, and they're willing to put in the work and risk the failure. And dude, that comes to fruition over time.
Yeah, it's hard to put a finger on it, though. Like, how do you be that person that doesn't implode?
Yeah. I think it's practiced. I think it's all the things that we're talking about, putting yourself in the situation, the scenario that there is some risk, right? And you do prove to yourself that you can perform, creates an anchor point, right?
Yeah.
It allows you to practice self-talk. These things don't happen naturally, right? We talked about this before. Are people born with mental toughness, or do they develop it? I think you develop it, right? I think some people are born with personality traits that maybe lean themselves more toward that, but you still have to develop it, right? And that comes through experience. It doesn't come through us sitting around on the couch, but like actually practicing and putting ourselves in those situations. So maybe put yourself in situations where there is more pressure and where you do have more expectation to perform, but it's not the actual game day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I agree. I think you do cultivate it, because I've spent a lot of time reading history and a lot about, concentration camp in Germany, in the Soviet, the Gulag, and
Super gnar.
You get into some of this stuff, and it's horrible to read and to see, but you see people who were like as soft as a baby's butt, in temperament and personality, and could barely push themselves to like climb the stairs at work, right? They're just like, they're weak mentally.
Yeah.
And then get put into situations where it's live or die.
Yeah.
And have to dig deep. And then all of a sudden, 3-5 years later after that, they find out that they're actually one of the toughest people on the planet, right?
Yeah.
And they never would have learned that about themselves if perhaps it wasn't life and death at stake.
Sure.
And there are those that, of course, fail and implode or whatnot, but you can't, I look at that and go, they cultivated it.
Totally.
It wasn't something they were born with. You look at their life up to that point.
Yeah.
There was nothing spectacular there.
But they decided to rise to the occasion, and it was built.
It was built little by little.
Yeah. And we how
Because
lucky
you had
are
to.
we? Yeah, how lucky are we? We don't have to. We should.
Yeah.
But like we can create those opportunities on your own. The hike the other day. I mean, that little things like that. Setting like small goals, we call them micro goals. Just like you said, it's when you go through that thought process of shooting, it's like micro goals on a gnarly hike might be like, I'm just going to get to that tree. Now I'm just going to get to that rock. I mean, it can be small. I'm going to put my 1 foot in front of the other, and now the next one.
It's like Bill Murray, baby steps.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Oh, what's about Bob? Is that
What about Bob?
Yeah. And I remember doing that in workouts where I just tell myself, like, if I was doing a burpee, like, put your hands down, kick your feet back,
Right.
Stand up, walk to the bar, jump over the bar. I mean,
Micro goals.
oh yeah, but that's a sense of victory because you did it. Say,
Right.
okay, I did put my hands down instead
also-
of, I'm going to die. I'm
You're also
hyperventilating.
you're also in the process instead of focusing on how much pain you're experiencing.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not worried about, oh, I have 30 more of these or I have X amount of miles left.
Right.
You're just, no, I'm right here, right now. And I just did it.
I thrive on that. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
when I go down to the gym, part of the reason I like some of the programming and the workouts that I do, which I steal a lot off of Icon Athlete, borrow.
So you can
I
totally
use.
steal them. Yeah.
And I look through the stuff you post, and then I pick one, and I'll get Jordan to do it with me. He's about the only one in the office doing it with me right now. And we will knock it out. And whenever I pick, like you had Hero Month last month,
Yeah.
and so I did a bunch of those Hero Watts. And as I'm doing that programming and those workouts, they're meant to tap into mental toughness because they're just a grind. They go on forever.
Yeah.
It seems like. And so what I love about it though is I'm stressed. I'm stressed at home. I'm stressed with like things I want to accomplish with Gritty,
Right.
messages I want to share, hate mail that comes in, what you name it, right?
You get that?
I do. And it when I go down there and I get into something that's a suck fest like that, like that's just a suffer fest.
Yeah.
I get into process mode.
Yeah.
It's like rep 5, rep 6, rep 7, rep 8. And it's like, okay, next station, this. And I am nowhere else except in that moment grinding through it.
Same thing when you're taking the shot, right?
Exactly.
Nothing else exists.
Nothing else exists.
Same thing when I ride my dirt bike. And people talk about this as like the flow state, where you are just so in your element. They've talked about it with extreme athletes. It's really cool. They'll talk about, I went down to Red Bull Rampage. If you guys have never seen that, you gotta watch. It's insane. There are these kids. They're, probably 18 to 24 because they're nuts. And they ride their bikes down the most insane terrain, like backflips off of 40-foot cliffs and like just crazy stuff. And it talked about kind of what drives these people. And it's this flow state because they're so focused on what they're doing because there's so much risk for them, or the work is really hard. We need to stay in the moment, or we're taking the shot and it's all that matters, or you have to be hyper focused on the dirt bike, fill in the blank, whatever it is, that everything else just disappears. All the worry, the stress, all of it just, and what a cool
I crave
moment. Yeah. And you can get that, as silly or goofy as it sounds, you can get that from working out.
Well, when I climbed the hill the other day, it was probably a couple weeks ago, I got on that hill. I had a heavy load and I just was trying to climb it as quickly as I could. And it was about an hour to get to where I wanted to go. And it's straight up vertical, and it was like a 55-pound pack. And about 25 minutes in, I disappeared. I was just in the zone, and I just kept going and going and going and going and going, and endorphins are flowing and things are going. And I get to the top and I didn't want it to end. Yeah. Because I disappeared. Like nothing else mattered except that moment. And there's something about it that I crave. Yeah.
And it's such and what's cool is when you recognize it, when you're in it and you have this brief moment of like,
right.
Wait, I'm there.
And the thing is, not to trash on other programming.
Sure.
But I have noticed like the reason I do a lot of the workouts that I do is because I want to go there.
Yeah.
I want to disappear. I want to be so caught up in that, focused on that, getting it completed and achieving that exercise goal. And when I do something like bison tries or, my bodybuilding sets, I'm like thinking about that or this or the burn or this rep 20, I do not flow state at all.
Yeah.
In that scenario.
It's going to be over in 30 seconds and then you get a rest between the next set or whatever.
I'm checking messages, I'm like talking
still working.
to someone or it's a different kind of feeling.
It is. And those days are I think those days are still important to have. I think it's good to have days where we train and we don't just see the white light, and it's not the near death experience, but, you can still get that through a variety of things. You know what I mean? But it's, so training wise, yeah, I'm the same way. I think that's part of the reason why I love it. And I think as much as it, I think I've been doing it for so long that when people say man, my endorphins, I feel so much better. I don't even recognize that, but I do. You know what I mean? And here's what I do is if I don't have that hour of my day, 45 minutes of my day, as much as I don't like saying this, I'm not as good of a dad. I'm not as good of a husband. I'm not as good of a businessman. I'm just not because I didn't have that time where I could really just focus and put my energy into that and kind of disappear.
I think, feel alive.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the chance to go feel alive, glory in how the body feels when it's stressed.
What a privilege. There are people that would beg to do what we do.
And I look at even when I'm outdoors and, we're getting ready to put some video out Sunday, Monday, Tuesday here coming up and for the next few weeks. And I'm watching these films and I'm freezing. The snow is coming down and we're just sitting there waiting for an animal to come up this ridge. And it's you're in that moment too. And you're suffering, but there's something about that stress that makes me thrive.
Yeah. When you're done, right?
Yep.
There's such a sense of satisfaction.
And I feel like too often we focus on comforts, when people are saying, I'm kind of ruined, Chris. I'm kind of messed up because when people talk about, my sister came to town and my brother-in-law, love them. She's awesome, gritty sister. And we went down to Lagoon with the kids.
Yeah.
And I was on the phone with you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And, we're hanging out and we're going on these rides and everything. And I'm the whole time I'm there, I'm enjoying it to be with family and some friends and kids, but I can't feel fulfilled by it at all. In the sense that there's no life at stake. It's not hunting. Yeah.
There's no risk versus reward.
There's no potential. I mean, in some ways, I guess you could die on a roller coaster, but it's not like when you're 20 miles in the backcountry by yourself or there's certain adventures that I've experienced now that kind of make that kind of faux adventure not really an adventure.
Well, I get it. And I think the way that I look at it is there are certain experiences that we've had that are just so special and so defining. You just can't replicate it.
Yeah.
Right? You can't. And that's okay.
And so the wife
it's hard
wants
to say that okay.
The wife wants to go to Cancun,
Right.
And just hang on the beach.
Can we just go
eat some
to the tundra
and sleep? And I'm like, can we go someplace where we might die in a bush plane, and hunt grizzly bears?
Can I drive an ATV there?
Right. It's
what about a three-wheeler?
Yeah.
Do you remember three-wheelers?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. There you go. Risk right there.
Totally. And I found myself a little bit, in this stage in life where, I've had so many great, to me, that stress and that challenge is what is rewarding and fulfilling, not so much the relaxing on the beach. And so I need to do that. I recognize it has value and importance as well.
100%.
But the whole time I'm there, I'm like, I could be
get
shooting my bow somewhere. It's in Cancun, I'm climbing trees and swinging off. I'm like, something dangerous. Can we find?
Right. I think that's part of it's just, I think that's part of a personality thing. I've experienced that. I'm knocking on the door 40, and I think that there is an element of that, at our age. Mm-hmm. What's funny though is I've read some books and heard some stuff. I've lived a pretty adventurous life.
Yeah.
It's not like I've just hung out and sat behind a cubicle and
you've used your fitness.
Yeah. And not just at the CrossFit Games, but I seek adventure and some risk within reason, and I still find myself feeling like I'll have times where I'm antsy at home. And I don't like it because I want to be in the moment.
Me too.
With my family. I want to be, and I want to realize like, no, this moment is really important.
Yep.
Like I got to be here.
Just watching this show or playing cards with the kids. That's
just here.
important.
It's enough. That's enough.
Struggle though.
I do too. I do too. And I think it's like partly a little bit the way we're wired, a little bit the time in our lives, because I think that we've had all these experiences. So I think I have an addictive personality. Mm-hmm. And if I wasn't having an outlet to fitness and adventure, it'd be something else. And it better be fitness and adventure then. So I think it's trying to find that balance, which, good golly, right? Everyone's trying to crack the code on that.
Right.
Gosh.
Well,
let me tell you how to fix that, guys. Let me tell you exactly how to find balance in your life.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you shot at the Total Archery Challenge with us.
It's so fun.
You, me, Cameron Haynes, and we had Rihanna Carey there.
Yeah. Which, by the way,
Jordan.
There's another moment. So I don't know the bow hunting community real well.
Yeah.
And I had this moment the first year when I asked you who Cameron was.
Yeah.
It's like, I can tell he's a big deal, but I don't know why. And I kind of did the same thing again this year. Rihanna was there, and I was like, okay. In my head, I was like, I know she's got to be a big deal. Like, and I asked her, I was like, so what? Like, what do you do? It was so funny because she was so humble about it. She was just like, oh, I just really like to hunt, and I just work with some companies. And I'm just here with Mountain Ops. I was like, okay. Yeah, okay.
And she is one of those people I've said from the start, from the first time I started following her story and watching her hunt. There's a lot of gals that get into hunting that I think sometimes got into it just because their boyfriend wanted them to, or their husband or something. And I love that. Like, whatever reason you're here. Then there's some that get into it because they love it. The actual activity, right? The actual, it's not an excuse to spend time with someone. Sure. It's not an opportunity to spend time with someone. It's like
what they do.
They crave the hunt, and then there's people who love it, but aren't necessarily talented at it. Right? Yeah. Like in a lot of ways, I kind of put myself in that category when I come home empty-handed, and then when I come home like victorious, I'm the man. I'm the man.
Yeah.
So, but I just watched her, and I have a lot of respect for her because I've worked out with her many times, and I'm like, that girl is the real deal.
Yeah.
She's the real deal. And then when she hunts, there's not very many people who solo bow hunt for elk and kill a mature bull and go for blacktail and can kill a blacktail deer and all of this. She's just she's a badass.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
And then she's also a very genuine human being.
Right.
So
she was great. Like, no
and what I liked
with
was
the jabroni out there.
Yeah.
It's brand new.
What I liked about it was, we can just make fun of her the whole time because she's the only girl, right? So
and she totally takes it but dishes it back out a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you shot bows, and I wasn't sure last year you weren't sighted in really, and your fletchings were falling off your arrows about 5 minutes in.
Yeah, got to put yourself in a place of adversity.
And yet I saw like how well you shot. Then fast forward a year, you don't touch a bow. And then we come out here, and day one, like, you got some arrows. Sighted in. We sight you out to like 50 yards, maybe?
I think it was 50, yeah. We didn't have the 60.
Yeah. So we sighted you in out to 50, just before, about an hour before we got on the tram and went to the top and shot the Sitka course.
The easy one.
And dude, your groups from 20 to 50 were so dialed and so tight on those targets. It was very easy to sight you in because you were able to repeat the same shot over and over again.
Yeah.
And hit really well. And then we get on the mountain, and you're keeping up with the rest of us, hitting kill zones in the money, shooting in the wind, steep shots. And it's just like, and then when you had to like, guesstimate, like, okay, let's figure out where your 60's at. Yeah. Let's just guess.
Yeah.
Or, oh, this is 75 yards. Put the bottom of your sight housing bubble on the level on the animal halfway down it. And, and you're drilling these targets. It's impressive. Most people, they would take them a long time to do what you did right out of the gate. What do you think is the reason for that?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I think I'm I really enjoy a challenge. Mm-hmm. So like I like when I'm presented with something that I need to figure out. Mm-hmm. I can't stand this. I have to be careful with this. I cannot stand when people try something once. They're like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And they're like, I can't stand that. Of course you can't do it. It's the first time you tried it.
Right.
Like, you shouldn't be able to do it. You know, so I like going through that process. So I think part of it's that. It's like I have this desire to really figure things out, even if I'm like remotely interested in it. If I'm not, I'm like, that's stupid. But if I'm remotely interested, I really want to figure it out. And then two, like I'm real visual. So like watching you and Cam and Rihanna shoot and watching what you guys do, I'm trying to mimic that. Even looking at like the differences, not to bash on him, but Keith, he's got like the bum wing, you know, right. And he can't, and it looks real gnarly. Like he can't pin his shoulder blades together. Uh-huh. I remember being like, that doesn't look right. Like that,
yeah,
that's way harder.
Yes.
So like paying attention to those things and trying to basically copy what looks right. And then, man, I don't know, shooting a bow is just, there's something so cool about it. Like I can't quite explain it because I've shot firearms and stuff too. Mm-hmm. It's just that it's so, and I know it's a compound bow and it's still like this piece of
modern tech.
Yeah. Right. But like, it's so quiet and still so deadly and like so sneaky and like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
it's
I
just
know.
Like,
yeah.
I can't.
It's
so cool
to sit there and just kind of shoot. It's like there's you have to focus and you have to.
It's the flow thing.
Yeah, the flow thing.
And even though it's happening really small, you know, I've got all these things that I'm reminding myself of. Mm-hmm. You know, like what's the site that I said the
peep site.
Yeah, the peep site. You know, lining that up with the site and then making sure that you know don't forget to look at the bubble. But now I'm on the side of the hill, so it's like this different angle and all this stuff. And then I have to be like, wait, chill, like slow down. Just focus on these things.
Yeah.
And that, I love that. And then all of a sudden, same thing. Everything gets like super quiet. Like there's no.
We're waiting for you to hit the rocks.
Yeah, right?
And then it's
carbon explosion.
In the heart. And you're like, I hate Chris Spealler.
It's really fun though. I don't know why. Maybe I just enjoy that stuff. Maybe that's like part of what I'm looking for.
One thing I'm curious about, you know, as you don't have a lot of time behind the bow, but what are your general thoughts now that you've done it? Like, because I know some of those arrows, like you hit the rocks or something. And you're like, And I mean, because I've done that and I'm like, I have no idea what I just did wrong. Yeah. But something went wrong. Yeah. And then there are times where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not surprised. I completely ginched on that shot or something like that.
For me, I felt like if I went into the rocks, I usually felt like it was because I didn't have my sight dialed in at that yardage.
Right.
Otherwise, you know, it was nice.
Good.
Yeah, it felt pretty good. If I had like land that I could shoot on, I would shoot every day. Yeah. Yeah. I would go out in my backyard and just.
Well, you need a sliding sight too, because.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Chris likes to shoot like 120 yards. He pulls up. He's got a sight maxed out at 50. He's like, what can I aim at to still hit this sight, this target? You're like,
I got Bigfoot in the Achilles.
That's right.
He was pretty far away.
There's a certain challenge that comes from those long range shots that are, first of all, it's just fun. It's not like I'd take that shot on a live animal, but man, out there, and to, you know, to be proficient, every micro thing you do wrong is exponential when you're shooting 100, 120 yards. Yeah. And, so it's really nice to, you know, if you're good at that range.
Talk about the confidence at 40 yards then. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's anchor point. Same, go back to it.
Right.
Same thing. Like, wait a second. I've got this live animal in front of me that's 30 yards away, but I'm drilling stuff at 80. Yep. I'm going to be okay.
Yep. Yeah. And a lot of archers I know, they only shoot like 60 yards and out, you know, 60 to 100 because that's where they feel like they're concentrating and they got their, you know, they're in that moment. I I'm guilty at times of, like when I was at the Montana Total Archery Challenge, I showed up and it wasn't until I brought 4 arrows with me and I broke 2 on the first target, because of mental mistakes. Well, one of them hit the rebar in the target, and another one.
Oh, there you go.
Another one, I forgot to raise the launcher, and I shot the ground.
No big deal.
Both were like,
it's okay.
Horribly embarrassing. Not the rebar in the target, like that was just
Yeah,
a little shot,
whatever.
a little off the insert. But you make those mistakes. Well, when you're down to 1 arrow,
Oh, you're on.
you're on.
Yeah.
You can't afford to lose that arrow, and you don't want to be the guy that goes
Walking
home,
around.
like walking around with no arrows,
Like
right?
I was last year.
So it's like it shocked me. I shot like 17, 18 targets in a row with 1 arrow.
Yeah.
And it's like the target I missed was 127 yard, like gazelle. It was the world's smallest 4-legged target ever. But it's like, I was forced to be in the moment
Yeah.
in a way, like because the stakes were high and I shot so well. And then when I have like a quiver full of like 12, 14 arrows, I'm like, I'm talking and I'm like, watch this.
Blah, blah,
And,
blah,
yeah.
blah.
And I'm not, and I realized, man, I'm going to go on a few 3D shoots where I have 1 arrow.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's going to push me to stay in the moment.
Totally.
And I like that. I don't really want to fire an arrow when I'm not in the moment ever.
Right.
I don't want that habit or that scenario to be part of my
Sure.
makeup, but it's hard to be on all the time.
Mm-hmm. And that's where, like, change it up. You know, just like with workout stuff, like we do with workouts, you change up the stimulus.
Yeah.
You know, put 3 arrows in and stay within 40 yards and see how close you can get them.
Yeah.
Go 60 yards and use 1. Like, change it. I think people get in the habit of doing the same thing.
Well, that's one thing we were talking about. Like today's workout we did was basically we did sandbags.
Yeah.
Okay. We got sandbags and
Some sleds.
it was 100-pound and
It's a 100-pound sandbag. Yeah.
and 5 cleans.
Yep.
So over the shoulder.
Yep. Just pick it up, throw it over your shoulder. 5 reps.
And then the sled was how heavy?
We put 90 pounds on it.
Okay.
Which, like, you know, without the sandbag, not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
But then you have that sled around your waist, and then you pick up that 100-pound sandbag,
Yeah.
and you hold it on your chest, which was sadistic.
So bad.
And so I'm crushing this 100-pound sandbag against my chest, which made it really tough to breathe.
Really tough.
I was like, I thought I'd breathe in my stomach.
Like,
I'm
oh,
like,
no.
no worries. Like, I'll just breathe in my stomach, and like that's how I try to breathe from my belly anyway.
Yeah.
It didn't work like that at all. Like I'm like,
Lungs are
Yeah.
crushed. Yeah.
and the more I tried to squeeze it, the worse it got. So it was
Yeah.
this sort of weird balance. But you pull the sled down to the one end of the gym
Yeah.
with that 100-pound bag in your arms right on your chest, and then flip it around and bring it back.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, while a dude does the cleans, the sandbag cleans and the sled pull with the sandbag, you got your partner doing, burpees,
Yeah.
15 burpees.
Yeah.
And so I finished my burpees right about the time you would get back from
Yeah.
your whole set. And so it was like, there was never a moment to just stand
Too much
around.
break, yeah.
Yeah. If you're Chris Spealler, there's a little bit of time.
Not much.
But, it was a 12-minute workout. Like
Yeah.
just go on that circuit back and forth
Yeah.
for 12 minutes. And that was really fun because
Yeah.
it's not your typical, pick up the bar, do some
Right.
curls, and I love CrossFit workouts
Yep.
because they change all the time, because every day is going to be a new challenge. But for a lot of people, that kind of workout is intimidating. It requires
A lot of equipment. Complex movements.
Mhm.
You got to learn
Some
a lot.
skill.
Yeah. You got to learn a lot.
Yeah, if you're going to clean,
Which is great.
If you're going to clean a heavy barbell,
Yeah.
it's like that, you should probably get a little instruction.
Some coaching.
Or,
Yeah. For sure.
And so with this program that we did today, great training stimulus, it had all this cool stuff in it, and it was fun.
Yeah.
It's very doable by anybody.
Yeah.
By anybody. So my question is, and I've heard about this from you. This is why you're down here today,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I wanted to test it out and stuff. But you've got this program that you're putting out, and I love the name of it.
Yeah, man.
It's killer. It's called Grunt Work.
Yeah.
And so why did you do it? Why did you put this
Yeah.
program together?
That's a good question. So
And what's it
of
going to get me?
Yeah. So we call, and I think all of us can kind of relate to this grunt work stuff, but in the CrossFit world, grunt work is kind of like this separate thing that people touch every once in a while, but not often. And it has so much value. Grunt work is exactly what it sounds like. It's a lot of carries. It's a lot of like odd object work. So it could be sandbags or what we might call like a D-ball, farmer's carries, variations of carries where you might be carrying stuff overhead. It could be drags like with a sled, pulling it with a rope. It could be using what's called like a prowler where you push it. So you find so much value there. And the reason why is because even though CrossFit's great and arguably one of the best, if not the best fitness program for someone that just wants to be generally fit, what it gives you is these perfectly machined barbells in a gym setting that's a very controlled environment, as it should be, but there's a lot of expectation. Like you expect what it is, and things are, it's made, it's just like any gym. It's made for you to do a movement efficiently and well. And then when you start to grab a sandbag or throw in a sled or this awkward object or a carry or a static hold, it forces you to adapt. So it's not friendly. It's not convenient. It's not efficient. It's just awkward.
It's just work.
Yeah, it's just grunt work. It's just hard, but it's people really dig it because I think it does a couple things. One, it's like that, a little bit of that flow state thing, right? Because it's like this grunt work, monotonous, but not in a bad way. Just this work, and it forces us to use more muscles that we don't often do. It forces us to have a better balance. It forces us to build more, midline strength. And there's a lot of benefits too, because it's not super dynamic. So people don't have to worry about like repetitive joint issues or anything like that.
And what do you mean by dynamic?
So dynamic could be like really fast movement. So Olympic lifting can be really great, for building explosive power, but just continued repetition over years, not a week, but just a lot of volume. Okay. You have to just pay attention and be smart with it.
Yeah.
Where grunt work, it's not like that.
It's like farm work.
Yes.
Right? Like hucking a hay bale.
Yeah.
Moving the wheelbarrow full of bricks over here.
Yeah. It's very much like blue collar work.
It is.
Yeah.
It's which really lends itself to me to all around fitness. And for me, I was telling you earlier, there are a lot of guys that put on a backpack and they hike up the stairs.
Yep.
Right? They go to a stadium or they hike a hill, which I think is super valuable. Critical, right?
Yeah.
For doing what I like to do primarily, which is I like to get in the backcountry, hunt far away from people and places and vehicles. And I like to do it on my own 2 legs and my own 2 feet, and that's great. But one of the things that I feel like helps me be successful back there is the CrossFit foundation that I have.
Sure.
Which allows me to basically lift the hindquarter of an elk.
Yeah.
I have the grip strength to just grab it and pick it up.
Yeah.
It's sometimes you debone it and it's all one piece and it's just this awkward pile of meat.
Yeah.
But I feel like because of what I do in the gym, generally I can move that meat well. I'll say this, like, you need the backpack and the legs to get the elk.
Yep.
But you need sort of the CrossFit
Everything
foundation
else
to get the elk out.
Yeah.
To bring it home. When you start messing around over the carcass and you're cutting the head off and you're doing all this other stuff and you're starting to carry out this animal.
It's awkward.
It's super awkward. It's heavy. There's no way around it. You're talking moving, 400 pounds of meat and head and stuff like that. And it's off, miles, right?
Yeah.
So, I like the fitness that I have in my upper body and primarily my back and my core.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of guys struggle with that. They're injury prone or they have issues. And same with their knees and ankles and stuff. They have problems there. And what I like about what you're proposing, what you're bringing forward here is you're hitting all of that stuff, but in a non-gym setting and preparing people for what we love to do.
Yeah. And that's like, so the program, the way that we have it set up is it's 6 days a week. And every Wednesday and Saturday we program a ruck. program a long ruck, anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours. And sometimes it might be a little bit interval based, or sometimes just like what we call sustained effort. So we program that because we think it's valuable, whether you're hunting or not.
Yeah.
You know, there's just value to carrying stuff. And then the other 4 days a week, really simple. People don't need a lot. We tried to make it like super low barrier to entry so that you don't need to go to a gym. You could literally go to Home Depot and buy everything you need to do the program. And that you could put it in the corner of your garage or your shed and be able to get ridiculously fit to hunt or anything else you want to do. So those other 4 days have these different, you know, experiences where some are shorter, some are longer, some have heavy sandbags, some have different carries. Some are doing the sled drags or the prowler or whatever that is. And it's just got so much value and can be a great standalone program, or it could be a great additional piece. You know, for people that do like going to the gym and doing the buys and tries thing, great. If that's something you love, rock it. Do it. But I encourage you to try something like this because there's so much more bang for your buck. And that's the other thing, man, is you and I were talking about this, like dad, husband, business, you've got to run. It's a lot, you know?
Yep.
And time is more and more pressed for me now.
Right.
Especially when I want to seek adventure.
Yep.
Because guess what? That takes time too.
Right.
But if I want to be prepared for it, I need to be able to put that time aside. But these workouts, aside from the rucks that are longer, the workouts that we're looking at here are super efficient. Don't take a ton of time to warm up for. You could knock one out in some scenarios, 30 minutes and you're done.
Yeah. Well, like I have this discussion with my wife. I'm like, carving out an hour, like for fitness during the day is a big deal for people in today's world. Big deal for her. It's like, okay, if you're going to carve out an hour, man, maximize that hour.
Yeah.
Like, maximize it, because you could spend the next year doing exercises that, they're better than sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Right. But you're not going to be the sort of, ready for life, anything in life fit kind of person using that hour with some of these traditional old school, like to me, like less than efficient, like bodybuilding type movements and exercises or treadmill or, today's cardio day. And I'm like, man, you could get so much more out of that hour and in 1 year be a completely different human being by maximizing that hour, by doing some programming that's highly effective. Yeah.
I challenge you, shorten it. Go less. Go 45 minutes. Go 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And work hard. Like, do that grunt work stuff. Work hard. I don't work out. People will come to the gym, we'll work out. And, I'll do very well and they're dying, and there's this perception, well, he must be in the gym all the time. Right.
Like, it's your life. It's like, actually, no. I mean, the workout I did the other day was that 9-minute AMRAP that you programmed,
9 minutes.
Which was sadistic. And, it was 9 minutes. So before that, I warm up for, on the row machine for a few minutes, and then I stretched a little bit, rolled out, just did some stuff to get a little loose. That was like 10, 12 minutes. And then I did a 9-minute workout. It was like I was done in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And the workout itself was still only 9 minutes. Right. The other part was just some warm up, cool down. And then that's it. And then the next day I went on a hike in the morning because I want to experience that. And like, it's not this thing where I'm like slave to the gym and a program and all these circuits I got to get through and all these dumbbells and barbells I got to move. And it's not like that. It's completely, it's 20 minutes. I joke around it with the guys downstairs as we get to work out. I'm like, man, if it's over 7 minutes, I kind of don't like it. If it's over 10, I'm like, I really am like annoyed, which Hero Month just requires a whole different mindset. Yeah. But I like those short, explosive and intense workouts. Yeah. Like 12 minutes today.
Yep.
That to me, it's 12 minutes. And so people look at those sometimes and they say, it's not enough. That's not enough.
Yeah.
And
not to be mean, just because you're not working hard enough. That's why it's not enough.
Right. And 12 minutes is an incredible stimulus.
Yeah.
And too many traditional ideas get in the way of I think a greater level of fitness that can be obtained more efficiently.
If you're going to go for your 90-minute 2-hour ruck tomorrow, great. Like, you're going to go long. Mm-hmm. You're going to put it in there. Yeah. Because that's what your, lifestyle, or that's what your activities outside the gym require.
And I like that the ruck is in there a couple days a week, because that is one thing I feel like is central to the programming that I do, is there needs to be sport specific exercise in there, which is, for me, it's carrying a 50-pound pack for a couple hours. That is what I need to be ready for the hunts and the activities I want to do in the fall. But I feel like it's a huge mistake to only focus on that. Huge. And I don't think you need it 5-6 days a week.
No.
Because you're going to get so much all-around fitness doing the other program.
And I get that's hard to trust. I get it. I get that that's hard for people to be like, whoa, wait a second. You're telling me that I can go for a long ruck 2 days a week, and the other 4 days a week I can work for 20 minutes or less, most likely 15 minutes or less, and rest 1 day a week and be ready? Yeah. Because if you work hard, you put into it, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. You have to put in. It's just like anything. It doesn't matter what you do. If you want to see a result, you have to work hard.
Yeah. You
want to study and get good grades, you got to study hard. You want to do a great job at business, you have to work hard. You want to see results from the gym, you have to work hard. But now define what working hard is. Mm-hmm. Is working hard really you sitting in the gym for an hour and a half, slowly making your way from one thing to the next and having these long breaks between? I don't think so. I don't think it is. I think working hard is, like you said, maximize your time, right? And instead of having all this downtime between, which sure, there's some value to that, right? But why are you doing it? Mm-hmm. Can you make that better? And I think you can, because if you work really hard for that, 15 minutes, then have a nice warm up and a way to cool down afterwards, it just works.
That's where I feel like there's two things I want to tap into when I'm doing those workouts. Is I want to get into that flow state we talked about, which I just want to get into, where I'm so focused on everything else melts away, and just getting through this exercise is where I want to be. I'm just in that flow. And I think part of that is getting to a certain level of fitness. So it's not, it just is it's a place I like to be, even though it's hard. Yep. But in conjunction to that, almost related to that, is I want to develop mental toughness. Mm-hmm. I need some grit. Yeah. So that when I go out, I don't quit. Like when I go and I am chasing, bull moose in Alaska, it's or Canada, it's I want to be the guy that can go all day, every day. Yeah. And be successful and come back out, and that right there takes then cultivating some grit.
Yeah. And I think what's cool is I think Rihanna got a little glimpse of that today, cause she was even I've worked out and done some stuff with Cam, and that's great, but it's just different. Yeah. And I think, I hope, and I think just because I think it's cool, I like watching it, I think a little bit of a light bulb went off. Wait a second. That was hard. It was only 12 minutes. Wait, that was it?
And I think where Cam goes to that place all the time because he runs those marathons. Yeah. Tim, he'll disappear in his hours. Head. I don't know where he goes. Right. That takes some mental toughness that, he's he says, it's all mental. Right. No doubt. And so I think that right there, you can get there so many ways. But I feel like, the traditional sort of rep set grind is not as efficient from my experience. Haven't done both.
And it can be hard. Yeah. But it's just not the same as grunt work.
What I like about the grunt work though is that it's just work. Yeah. It feels like farm work. It feels extremely rewarding. And a lot of times, it's not linear. Because when you're moving a sandbag, it's more realistic.
Yeah, that's like picking
today,
up the hindquarters of something.
Yeah,
it's like awkward, weird.
Normally, if I was coming down to clean a barbell, I would get into a position where my back was flat.
Yeah, it's all perfect.
And I'm loading just right, and I'm pulling right.
Yeah.
In this case, it's like the sandbag is awkward, it's weird, and I'm engaging those muscles that are, I guess, somewhat more realistic for the hunting scenario.
People just say like it's synergistic in the sense that it's, you have to not use just, if you go from single joint movements to compound movements, awesome. Like leaps and bounds.
You're talking curls to deadlifts.
Yeah.
They're totally different.
The second you're using like multiple joints, compound movements, you're already like ahead of the game. And now when you add the awkward thing into it, that's like, it just adds that much more because now you have to do more stabilizer muscles. Yeah. So now you're using both stabilizer muscles with the primary movers, and you are doing that still with the barbell, but not as much because these things can be a bit unruly and awkward, and you have to find a way to adapt to it. So your mind starts to look at it in a different way and allows your body to adapt to it. You have to be more aware of like where you are in space.
Yeah.
It's just a really cool application that most things in life, as in like everything, is not a perfectly shaped 7-foot barbell. Right. Almost everything is like a bag of dog food or a weird sandbag or a whatever. And then if you can accommodate that, then great.
And we've been talking about it for a while, like programming. What does a guy do to and you've had some stuff on Icon Athlete.
Yeah.
You have some stuff for CrossFit style. And we talked about, you developing something that really fits this space where a guy doesn't want to go to the CrossFit gym or a gal. And they don't really want to go to another gym or they don't have access to one.
Yeah.
But they want some good programming that they can just do the work and then be in the shape that they want to be. And what's really cool about the Grunt Work program is, it's super easy. So when I first started doing CrossFit, they're like, you got to do these thrusters and you got to do these HS PUs and you got to do, and then you got to do this muscle up and then you got to do GHDs. And I'm like, what the hell is this stuff? Like I needed a freaking code book to read, figure it out. And then I had to Google it and then I had to look up some video and then I have some guy showing me how to do it and he's not very good at it. And then I find another video later and I'm like, oh, that guy's
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And it became this thing where it was a big challenge. There was a big hurdle.
It's a commitment to get started. Yeah. Like you've got to go to a gym and find somebody that'll teach you the stuff and it's worth it.
And I know a lot of people though that just won't do that. But they want to be in shape. They want to be this varied and ready for anything kind of athlete.
Right. And that's why another reason why I wanted to do this is it really is a super low barrier to entry with equipment, with price, and every movement that's posted for a workout has an image right next to it or along with it that people can see exactly what it is. Yep. There's not really teaching required. You just look at the image, do it. We don't prescribe weights. So it's more just like, hey, use a light, moderate, or heavy weight. What does that mean? Here's what that means. Now just use that. Yep. Don't get bent around the axle with just get to work.
That's the thing that's really great about it is it's very easy. Like I can glance at it and go, okay, that's what I need to do today.
Right.
And I feel like, what do you feel about it being something, a lot of people feel concerned about doing CrossFit because there's this, I'm going to get hurt.
Sure.
I'm going to get hurt doing CrossFit.
Yeah, which I think is like miseducation in and of itself. You can get hurt doing anything. And if you go to a good gym and you have a good trainer, that's great. You'll be fine, and that's what we tried to do with Grunt Work, just without the need of a trainer. Just keep the movements really simple, show them an image of it so that they can replicate it, provide a really simple guideline of light, moderate, and heavy, and just go to work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. These are most of the stuff we're doing here. There's no complex movements like Olympic lifting or, muscle ups, and those things all have value for sure. But for getting this kind of work done, seeing the benefit that I think, especially the hunting community, the outdoor community is looking for, the applications is crazy.
Yep.
It's so much like what is required outside the walls of a gym or your office, and so much like what you're going to see when you're out there, that it's just the carryover is cool.
I'm going to do it. I already snipe your stuff, from various places you post info. I already steal programming and do it all the time randomly. And so adding this to my routine is, I'm going to start doing that. Jordan and I are both going to do it. I'll get a few other guys in here to do it here and there.
Man.
But I want to just kind of hit it like for a couple of months where I just do the whole program day in and day out. And so I'll start posting and sharing those results and those activities.
We love your feedback too, because it's like we really want it to be a community.
Yeah.
We don't just want it to be this thing where people come. Like, we want it to be a real community driven thing where people feel like they're part of something bigger. Yeah, and where they can share that common goal.
That's what I like too. If people want to follow along, I'm going to post my results and how I'm doing, or what I'm doing, and it'll be kind of cool to see who else follows along and participates and does it too. There's lots of places you can find programming nowadays.
Totally,
but there's not a lot of places where you can get that program from Chris Spealler, and so that's pretty cool. Yeah. So how do people find it?
The website, easiest place, it's gruntworkout.com. So gruntworkout.com.
Do you have an app for it?
We have, like, the website is built to function like an app. So if you guys are into it and you think it's a great fit, once you join, you'll get access to essentially a login where you can see where all the workouts and the movements are. Super simple, really clean, easy to see, easy to use. And you just see a workout. We post, we'll probably be looking at posting like a week, maybe 2 weeks. So people can be really flexible. You don't have to worry about this being like some cycle of programming where you got to follow it each day. Like, if you need to move the ruck to a Monday and do the other stuff, do that. Be flexible, be flexible with your time and your training. And, you'll just be able to access and see that full week on the app. That goes away. You'll see another one come up. So really simple, and we have a private group Facebook page. So if people ever have questions, we're super interactive on that and like to really foster the community there. So if you find that, you want to kind of ask questions, I go on there usually kind of like 3-4 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, night, and check those and make sure that people are good to go and help answer any questions there. So you'll get access to that as well. And it's just going to be online, and the website will function like an app.
It's a subscriber based.
Yeah. Yep. And we've got a couple things on there where you guys, if it's, you could just pay for a month and check it out. It's only $14.95 a month. And then if you wanted to, if you find it's like, whoa, this makes sense, we'll have like a 3-month, a 6-month, and a 1 year where you could pay up front and save some dough, like get a couple months for free.
And so the buy-in's super cheap. And basically you get access to the programming. You can get access to the community page, group.
And then for the first 250 people that sign up in this kind of time period that we've got going on right now, we're going to release like a gear pack. So the first chunk of people that sign up, you'll get thrown into a drawing to win basically like a sled. So you can use it, from Rogue Fitness. Well,
which we used today. It was super cool, man.
Yeah. They're really cool.
So portable, so genius.
Yeah, you can throw it in the back of your car, your truck, whatever. Yeah. Really easy. So we'll get you guys a sled, and a gift card to Rogue for $100. You get some cool stuff. But
it'll be listed on
we'll list it on there
sign up,
so you guys can check it out. Yeah. But yeah, your name will be thrown in the hat for winning that. We'll ship it out to you.
And the website was
gruntworkout.com.
Gruntworkout.com.
You got it.
Gruntworkout.com. Well, I'm excited, dude. I'm excited. I'll keep people posted on how it's working for me. This is nice because I'm always just each morning I'll show up in the gym downstairs and I'm like scrolling through or the day before, and I tend to, when you do that, you cannot, it's undeniable that you're going to introduce some bias.
Sure.
Right? Because you're just going, yeah, I'm not doing that one. No. Oh, this one's perfect because it's everything I'm good at, And so
I'm a superhero today.
Yeah. So I often, I try not to be that way.
Yeah.
But I'm guilty, man. And so it helps me to have a program that I'm like, no matter what, that's what I'm doing that day. And it keeps me honest, and so sometimes I will follow, a program for a month or 2 months because then it makes me work on the things I would normally kind of skip.
Yeah.
Today's run 5 miles.
Right.
Let's go lift. So it's nice. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get in there and do that. And a lot of people then in this community will be doing the same workouts on those same days.
Yeah. Yep. So and that's what's cool is in that group Facebook page, you'll see, you can post results in there, or, hey, this is how this went, or share stuff. This is how I made my sled out of a wheelbarrow. This is what I'm using for a sandbag. This is where I bought that. This is like this.
Yeah. And the gear, you can use just stuff laying around the house. Totally. You can get some stuff at Home Depot, or you can order some stuff from Rogue that has some unique gear. It's the barrier to entry cost wise. It's pretty low.
Yeah. We try to do that to make it super accessible.
Yeah. A home gym is expensive. And the reality is, there's so much you can do without spending money on all that stuff.
Yeah. You make yourself a sandbag at Home Depot, find a way to make a sled with a wheelbarrow, get yourself a set of dumbbells from like a Play It Again Sports or something. You're ready to rock.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, Chris, thanks for coming on the podcast today. I appreciate it, man. Every time. Go and check it out. gruntworkout.com. I'd love any feedback. Any questions you got for Chris, we'll do this some more.
Love to.
And people can follow you on Instagram, Chris Spealler.
Yep. You can check C Spealler. That's me personally. And then we've got Grunt Work or Grunt Workout. That's awesome. The Instagram as well.
Cool. And they can also look up Icon Athlete.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely more CrossFit oriented and another great option. But if you guys are looking to do some kind of things more slanted toward that gym vibe, it's a good one.
People ask me like, Brian, what's your programming? What are you using for your programming? It's like, well, mostly everything I get is from Chris Spealler and is from Icon Athlete.
Yeah.
Primarily. Then I steal a little bit from some old Invictus workouts, or I'll get something from CrossFit Maine.
Sure.
Or I'll just scroll through and pick something.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I do believe in like a really varied workout, and I just kind of do whatever. Based on the feel of the day.
Yeah.
And if I've slammed my low back and it feels trashed,
do something else.
Then I'll pick a workout that is, not going to hit that again because I need a day or two maybe on that to get back from doing 55 deadlifts at, whatever.
Sure.
And so, but this is nice. I'll be able to just kind of hit this grunt work. And like you said, if I feel like I got that stimulus, it's a great way to augment an existing program that you might be on.
Yep.
If you're doing the back and buys and tries and you really don't want to give that up, because you've got this thing dialed and it's working for you, dude, throw this on there.
Just see what happens. Good stuff happens.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Folks listening, thanks for tuning in to Gritty. As always, we appreciate any reviews you can give us, positive reviews. On
usually 5 stars.
Yeah, usually 5 stars.
Yeah.
On iTunes. That's greatly appreciated. Or leave us a comment on YouTube, a nice one, and a thumbs up. I like those.
Yeah. I like the
I'm
Shaka.
Not yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not as I'm not sponsored by Porsche like Spealler is, or KTM or LaCroix Water.
Or like Sprinter vans or
Sprinter vans. I'm not like that, but I do like me some mountain hops. So, but
I like to put mine in the back of my Porsche trunk.
That's right.
Filled with LaCroix.
Yeah. If you have not listened to Chris's podcast with his illustrious guest, Grumpy
Doug, Grumpy
Cat Doug, you need to check it out. It's Icon Athlete podcast.
Thanks, man.
On iTunes, and it's I I always got to get me a little bit of that in each week. You guys are fun, man. You guys are funny. You have a good chemistry in it. And
you could have Doug on. He
could
be the grumpy bowman.
Oh yeah, totally. And he does the pet peeves you guys come up with on each show.
Let's do
That's
one now.
Like the best part.
Let's do one now.
Dude.
Okay,
I'm game.
Okay, cool. So like, here's what we do on our podcast. We do. Sorry, I just extended your podcast. I just hijacked it. So we do a pet peeve of the week because everyone has pet peeves, right?
Yes.
So like, it's don't pretend like you're perfect. You all have pet peeves. So we like to do like whatever the pet peeve of the week is. And it's okay, like, if you guys do this, Doug and I says, like, we still love you, we still care about you, but it's just a pet peeve.
It's a pet peeve.
Yes. Do you have one? Like, off the top of your head, anything that's happened this week, that's like a pet peeve.
I'm thinking. Give me a minute.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
I wasn't quite prepared for
No,
this.
it's okay. I'll try to think of one real quick, too. So, the other day, Doug's, and although I'm sure he's an outstanding human being, Doug's was LeBron James, because everyone says that LeBron James can do anything. Like he can be an astronaut, he can win the CrossFit Games, you know. So Doug was
Nobel
upset
Peace
with
Prize.
Yeah, totally, right? Because he's good at basketball. So for me, I'll give you guys one because I'm trying to think. I haven't had anything like super crazy happen in the past like couple days to really get me going. But I'll give you one that I've recently seen, and I can't stand it. So if you guys do this, I still care about you, but it bothers me. So you know when someone buys a new car?
Yeah.
Right? So like, it's cool. Great. Good job, bro. Like high five.
Nice
great.
car.
Get yourself a car.
Congrats.
Right? It's great. Yeah.
Right.
Do me a favor. Have you seen the people that leave the price sticker on the side of the window? Have you seen this?
Yes.
It's clearly a new car because it's plated.
Yeah.
It doesn't say dealer.
Right.
It's plated like regular. And the guy still has the price tag. Like, who's going to be like, hey, can you do me a favor?
That must be a Park City thing, right?
No,
like,
I've seen it other places. So it's like, see, when you buy the car, you're like, excuse me, sir, could you leave the price tag on the window for me? What are you doing? Like, I don't need to know how much your car costs, bro.
But if you're driving a Porsche,
it doesn't
sometimes
matter.
you want people to know.
I think people probably know already you're driving a Porsche, right?
No, you're right.
So, I mean, like, don't put the sticker on. It's
Take
okay.
the sticker out.
Take it off, man. Take the sticker off.
I like the one when you were talking about how, you know, if you're a games athlete and you wear like
oh man. Oh, don't get me going. Which is okay, this is probably gonna get me in hot water with the hunting community. But I was at the archery challenge and I was like, why is everyone wearing camo? Like the animals are fake. You don't have to hide from them, like they're foam.
Right.
But it's like you gotta wear the stuff. You gotta be the guy and be like, I've got the garb and I'm ready and like but they do it in CrossFit too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like you don't need to walk around with like your games issued shorts on, bro. It's okay.
Hey, just so you know, I was in the games.
Yeah. Hey, in case you guys didn't know, in case you didn't know, I know I'm at the Total Archery Challenge, but in case you didn't know, I bow hunt. I don't know if you can tell by my full ghillie suit.
Yeah.
But
Well, I got one for you. Okay. And this is like, here's my pet peeve. And it's, I love my wife. I love her to death. She's, the most precious thing in my life, right? She's blonde. And she tends to exhibit blonde stereotype behavior, right? Okay. My wife, likes things to be clean. Like clean, no germs.
Yeah.
Like, things are clean.
Yeah. It's good.
But she does not care where things go.
Oh,
like
she's a cleaner, not a picker-upper.
She's not an organizer.
Oh, yeah,
and so it's like one day the pan will be under the stove, and the next day it'll be in this cabinet, and the next day it'll be in this cabinet. Everything's a different day, different place. Like
I know,
dude. The forks go in the fork tray. They don't go 2 drawers over in this drawer today. Like, who does that?
And then we get accused of not being able to find it. Right? It's like, you can't find it? Open your eyes. It's like, but you put it in a different spot.
Dude.
Right?
I'm telling you, my wife will put my clothes in one drawer, and the next day they'll be hanging in the closet. And the next day they'll be in the bottom drawer. I'm
like, have you seen my pants?
Honey, like, I love you, but how do you function?
I love it.
And
but she probably knows where it all is.
Oh, I have learned with Suzanne that you don't bother looking for it. You just ask her. Hey, honey, where's the knife today?
Oh, that's great.
Oh, it's over there. Oh, yeah, because that makes sense.
Thank
because for the last 2 weeks, it's been in this drawer.
Yeah.
But it'll go back.
Yeah.
Like, that's
it might
just,
take some time. Yeah.
I did not grow up that way. My mother was like, there was a place for something and it
everything.
belonged there. And
I
if
wonder
it was
if
somewhere
Suzanne's
else,
pet peeve is that you have to have everything in its place.
oh, that doesn't even bother her at all. She wins. She wins all of it, right? Like, I'm not home. She's doing stuff, you know.
Puts it wherever.
Yeah, she has her pet peeves, believe me, but that's one, like,
Oh, that's good.
things go, once they have a spot, they go in that spot.
They go in that spot.
Then you can
tell
find
you're
it.
Like, I can tell you. Are you a little type A? You got a little type A.
When it, not, there's my brother.
It's like a man.
Only when it comes to, like organizing
Certain
things.
things.
Like, I want,
like organizing everything.
yeah, kind of, but I'm not that.
Yeah.
You can see from our desk right there that we're
I
super
got you, yeah.
ultra organized.
Yeah.
No, but I do like things organized. I can function in that environment.
Yeah.
For quite a while, but yeah, at some point I need it. Once I get it dialed, it bothers me when things get put in different places.
See, now a bunch of people are going to be able to relate to you, and they'll be like, I get it.
I get it.
And people will be like, I've seen the guy with the sticker on the car, and that bothers me too. Yeah.
We might have to do the pet peeve segment.
It's pretty good.
No, it is good. And Doug, because he's so grumpy, makes it extremely entertaining.
He's
Yeah.
And my favorite part is pushing his buttons. And he doesn't really know it,
Yeah.
but I'll just kind of
What
poke
about
at it a
this,
little bit.
Doug?
Yeah.
No, it's
great.
good stuff. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it, man.
You bet.
Thanks, folks. And as always, stay gritty. Despite our ever-changing, ever-indignant world with its growing ignorance of and indifference to the ways of the wild, I remain a predator, pitying those who revel in artificiality and synthetic success while regarding me and my kind as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood. I stalk a real world of dark wood and tall grass stirred by a restless wind blowing across sunlit water and beneath star-strewn sky. And on those occasions when I choose to kill, to claim some small part of nature's bounty for my own, I do so by choice, quickly, with the learned efficiency of a skilled hunter. Further, in my heart and mind, I know the truth and make no apologies for my actions or my place in time. Others around me may opt to eat only plants, nuts, and fruits. Still others may employ faceless strangers to procure their meats, their leather, their feathers, and all those niceties and necessities of life. Such is their right, of course, and I wish them well. All I ask in return is no one begrudge me, and all of us who may answer the primordial stirrings within our hunter souls, my right to do some of these things myself. What you just heard is a quote from M.R. James. We truly live in a world that is largely ignorant and indifferent to the ways of the wild. And although some regard us as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood, we have the opportunity to change the way these people view the hunter and the hunt. We can share our experiences and nature's bounty with those who employ these faceless strangers. And by so doing, we make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for the wild animals in the wild places we care so deeply about. Never stop sharing your passion for hunting and the outdoors. Our wild animals and our wild places depend on it.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to The Gritty Bowman.
Gritty Bowman.